وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واذكروا إذ أنتم قليل مستضعفون في الأرض تخافون أن يتخطفكم الناس فآواكم وأيدكم بنصره ورزقكم من الطيبات لعلكم تشكرون يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تخونوا الله والرسول وتخونوا أماناتكم وأنتم تعلمون واعلموا أنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة وأن الله عنده أجر عظيم صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Surah Al-Anfal, the address is continuing for the believers. وَاذْكُرُوا, and remember, إِذْ أَنْتُمْ قَلِيلٌ, when you were few, مُسْتَضْعَفُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ, weak in the earth, تَخَافُونَ أَنْ يَتَخَطَّفَكُمُ النَّاسِ, and were afraid, fearing that people would snatch you away. So this refers to the people of Iman, the believers, the Sahaba, their time in Makkah, that they were very few and they were overpowered, outnumbered by the kuffar. So remember that was your state. فَآوَاكُمْ, we gave you a place on a shelter, a protection, which is that the Muslims traveled to Medina and they found protection there. وَأَيَّدَكُمْ, and not only protection from all the things of the kuffar, so not only all the negatives, all the harms were removed away. وَأَيَّدَكُمْ بِنَصْرِهِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fortified you with His support. وَرَزَقَكُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ, and gave you so many good things, clean good things. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, all of that so that you may be grateful. So for all the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, we have to be thankful in letter and in spirit. What does that mean? That we have to give thanks with our tongues and we have to feel thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our heart. And a necessary part of being thankful is that we listen to the one who has given to us. And the next two ayat, they refer to, they also give a general recommendation about mention some special blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which one should be very mindful about. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تخونوا الله والرسول وتخونوا أماناتكم وأنتم تعلمون. O those who believe, لا تخونوا, do not betray the trust. Khiyanat is basically betraying the trust. Somebody trusts you or somebody puts a responsibility on you and you not live up to it. لا تخونوا الله والرسول, the responsibility, do not betray the trust of Allah and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وتخونوا أماناتكم, and do not betray your mutual trust. So neither show any deficiency or shortcoming in fulfilling the rights of Allah, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor betray the trusts or between each other. So do not be dishonest. وَتَخُونُ أَمَانَاتِكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, and you are, while you already know the bad effects, the significance, the serious evil that is in betraying the trust. So do not do it. وَعْلَمُوا, and know, remember fully well, be aware, أَنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ, your wealth and your children, fitna, they are a fitna. So this word fitna has been used in three meanings in the Quran in separate places, and all the three meanings can be applied here. Fitna literally means a trial or a tribulation. So it is something that Allah is testing you with. So again, going along the concept of every single blessing that Allah has given you, Allah is looking to see, do you give thanks to Allah with that blessing, or you become arrogant and forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your amwal, your wealth, and your whatever progeny, whatever children that you may have, they are a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you, and it's a test like every other blessing, that do you become thankful and fulfill the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even after you get those things, or you become somebody who's arrogant and forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You become wealthy and you forget about the one who gave you that wealth, or you have a big family and you become a proud person and you forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is one meaning. The other meaning of fitna is a azab itself, a punishment itself, which means that a lot of times we see that someone's wealth becomes a punishment for them. It becomes a mental torture for them. Their money does not work for them. They may have a lot of money, but through that money Allah is punishing them. And this is how it happened. This is how it happened with the kuffar of Makkah before Badr. They were very wealthy people, and their wealth and their arrogance on that wealth pulled them to their death field, to their deaths in the battleground of Badr. We see that all the time around us, that someone is very wealthy, but their wealth keeps them in trouble, in constant preoccupation all the time. Similarly, your children. We know and we must have seen people around us in our circles that they have children, but those children are a living punishment for their parents, that they don't listen to them, they are always bothering their parents, they are always a cause of spiritual pain to their parents, that look what my children have become, look what has happened to my children. That is also a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your amwal, your wealth and your children can become a punishment if you don't listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and execute the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over these blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The specific happening that how much time we have? 7 minutes? Okay, so there's a story behind this ayah where there was this group of the Jewish people who were coexisting in Medina with the Muslims. When the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, there was a pact signed between all the Jewish tribes that were living in Medina. And the pact, essentially the thing that relates to us here, this story is that the Jews said that if Medina is attacked from an enemy on the outside, we will help and we will side with Muslims to guard and defend Medina. But in Ghazwa Ahzab, where the kuffar came and they had gathered a lot of people from across the Arab, and they had come at the very final moment of battle, these Jewish people, they weakened the Muslims by changing sides. So they became the enemy at the very last moment, and that enemy that was within the city. So it became a very troubling thing for the Muslims, and Muslims, basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has explained it, that at that time Muslims really were about to lose their feet. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed the tide, and the kuffar, there was a storm that came, and they had to run away. But right after that, the Prophet ﷺ was commanded to take care of these Jews, the enemy from within. So one of these tribes was of Banu Qurayza. There was 3 tribes, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Qurayza, and there was another one that I'm forgetting the name of. So Banu Qurayza, they had a castle in which they sought protection. They took refuge, and the Prophet ﷺ and his army surrounded that castle, laid siege to it for 21 days. And after those 21 days, they basically, in these 21 days, they kept on hoping and trying their best to get support from outside of somewhere, from Makkah or anywhere else. But after 21 days, they had to lay down their arms. And they said that we want to make peace. Let us go peacefully, let us lay down our arms and go peacefully and live in Syria. We'll move to Syria, we'll move away. But the Prophet ﷺ was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to not let them do that, because the thing with these people was that they were enemies, bitter enemies of Islam, and wherever they were going to be, they were going to keep on making plans against Muslims. And they had openly confronted and broken their pact with the Prophet ﷺ, and they were basically enemies of Allah and Rasul ﷺ at war. So the command was that their lives will not be spared. So the Prophet ﷺ said that the only peace treaty that can be made is that the only concession that I can give you now is that there is a person called Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh radiyallahu anh. I can make him the judge. He will decide between you and us, and you should agree to what he says, and I will agree to what he says, whatever he decides. Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh radiyallahu anh. The Jewish people said no, we're not going to accept to that person. Appoint Abu Lubaba radiyallahu anh, another Sahabi. The special thing about Abu Lubaba radiyallahu anh was that he had his family and some of his assets in the area of Banu Qurayza. So they thought that he will definitely have a soft corner for us, because he will also have some consideration that we can harm his family or his assets. So the Prophet ﷺ agreed, and the Prophet ﷺ sent Abu Lubaba radiyallahu anh, who was a true Sahabi, true Muslim. When Abu Lubaba radiallahu anh reached the Banu Qurayza, they came crying and they said that what is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam going to do about us if we lay down our arms? Abu Lubaba radiallahu anh knew that the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that their lives will not be spared. So he did not say anything, he just made a slight gesture like this, that all of you are going to be basically killed. But as soon as he did it, he realized that he has done a big mistake. He has given the secret of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's something that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was keeping secret to these people. So he ran back to Medina, and instead of going to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was so ashamed that he did not go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly. He went to the Masjid al-Nabawi and tied himself to a pillar of Masjid al-Nabawi Sharif sallallahu alaihi wasallam and stayed there tied. He would not eat. His family, his wife or his daughter, they would untie him only for him to relieve himself or to at the time of Salah, and then he would be tied again. This was the punishment that he chose for himself for betraying Na'uzubillah or breaching the trust or doing khiyana, which these ayat are talking about, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam got news of it and said that why did he not come to me straight, and I would have made istighfar for him, sought tawbah for him, and Allah would have forgiven him. Why did he choose the hard way for himself? But now that he has chosen it, Allah will decide about him. So for 7 days, if I remember correct, this is how it was. At the night time, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave these ayat, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ أَجْرٌ عَظِيمٌ, which says that don't do it. You know the severity of doing it, and remember for the future that your amwal and your awlad, which you care about, which Abu Lubaba radiallahu anh was also worried about, that they were in the area of Banu Qurayza, they are a fitna, they are a trial for you, they are a test for you. So don't leave the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these things. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ أَجْرٌ عَظِيمٌ. But this is a forgiveness for this person, Sayyidina Abu Lubaba radiallahu anh, that there is great bounty, great reward for the people who listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the future ayat also tell us about his forgiveness. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him in the morning, and he did not, he got the news in the night, but he said that I'm not going to untie myself until the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes himself and opens my ropes. So that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came in the morning and untied him. So this is basically the story behind this ayah. But the command is general, that beware. Every single blessing, including particularly your wealth and your children, are a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you uphold the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or do you forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do something that you compromise the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of these? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Hazrat have written some explanations, some examples, that for these children, for this wealth, a person sometimes amasses wealth improperly through a haram way, finds shelter for them through a haram way. Sometimes, for this wealth, a person becomes a slave of their own wealth, tries to protect it through a haram way, tries to achieve it through a haram way. All of these things are examples of how these things can become a test. Or severance of ties, that a person, because of their wealth, they become arrogant, or they start to cut off with the people that you are supposed to stay connected with for this wealth and children. So all of this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who stay steadfast on the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are the ones who are successful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from all trials and tribulations, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us successful in the test that we have to face. Amin ya rabbal alameen. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim.